Today I want to walk you through one of my client projects, which is a homemade iced tea brand based in Riyadh called Thay. Now most homemade brands tend to look very quirky or they have this DIY feel to it, but with Thay we wanted something that was chic and sophisticated. And also we kind of brought a community factor through the power of design. Now design is not just about looking good. Over here we created such a strong brand identity that it trickled into the packaging, and overall it created an online community for the brand. From strategy to the logos and colors and then packaging. And in just weeks of launching, it showed up on people's stories, on their counters, and in conversations. And not because of ads or influencers, but because of the power of design. So let's get into it. As always, all my branding projects begin with a branding questionnaire where I uncover all of the key details about the business. So obviously, we first wanted to start building a clear strategy, and the branding had to feel joyful, fresh, and obviously human. So there were a lot of homemade drink brands in this category, and I went on Google and I was searching all of the different things that, are associated with homemade brands. But what I saw was the branding usually leaned into something that was playful and conventional, and you can think of like bubbly fonts or quirky icons, but we wanted to go another way. When we understood Thay as a person, and I always encourage people to think of brands as people, we came up with the persona that it was very, very elegant and very refined. And so that had to be reflected in the visuals as well. But at the same time, we still wanted the brand to feel warm and real and approachable. So initially I explored two directions. Direction one had a lot of soft colors, sunny yellows, muted greens, apricot shades, and the mood was vibrant, fresh, and lively. And direction two was still kind of like that, but it felt a bit more serious with deeper tones and shadows of a warmer, duskier palette. And we ended up choosing direction one because it just felt more livelier and fresher. And then we had to move on to the word marks. Now, as you can see, the word mark was the star of this brand. The name Thay literally means tea in French. And since it would be the only logo element on every bottle, I knew it had to feel special. We started by exploring a few editorial and serif typefaces, and then I funneled that into my Illustrator board. So here you can see that the options range from refined to rounded to bold, but the final word mark was actually custom built. So here you can see that I initially took a refined serif as a base, but then I felt this was a bit too stiff, so I kind of just connected the crossbar, which is this like hyphen part around the T, to the stem of the H to make it feel seamless and connected and just give it kind of like wholesome vibes. And then I also took out the H and I slanted it to add this human, uneven look to the brand. And then I slightly exaggerated the accent of the E to give it character and make it memorable. So I kept on playing with these different items and I did a lot of iterations, and then finally I settled on this. At the end, the word mark is not perfect like you would see as a typed out font. It feels something that is intentional but also approachable and also editorial. Because the product isn't mass-produced, it's prepared in the kitchen, there's a lot of love and care and intentionality when it comes to preparing these homemade iced tea brands, and so I wanted to bring that to the word mark as well. That's why it is something that is really customized. Then when it came to the color palette and mood, it came directly from the mood board and of course from the real-life ingredients. So here you can see that we've pulled in shades from lime slices, fresh mint, earthy tones, and brighter notes. And honestly, the palette feels like a summer afternoon, grounded and refreshing. And when anybody engages with Thay as a brand, they also have that summer vibe brought to them. So I really like to think that, when people are experiencing a brand, all those emotions and feelings that you see is also connected and also comes back to the person. And now let's go to typography pairings. And there's a lot of thinking that goes behind this because the typography wasn't just on a website or not just on Instagram templates. It was literally going to be printed on packaging labels. And since Thay as a brand doesn't get the opportunity to talk to the customers directly, the font pairings played a huge role. Because I see the fonts that you choose in your font pairings to be directly related to the tone of voice of the brand. And we wanted something that feels, like you're inviting somebody, that feels pleasant, that feels nice and elegant. And so we went with an editorial look. And the typography also contributes to giving that brand that elevated look. Now, I didn't want the brand to feel overly sophisticated. I still wanted to bring some approachable elements, some hand-drawn elements to it. And so I created these two custom illustrations. So I decided on the mint leaves and lemons, and then just kind of created this on Procreate. Here you can see a little time lapse, and then I exported it onto Illustrator, and then I vectorized it. So then the client client can use it and change the colors up. So this illustration added a layer of humanness to the brand and avoided the brand from looking a bit intimidating, because sometimes that can also happen if you tend to use overly serif fonts. And then for the slogan and verbal identity, we came up with something called homemade goodness, because obviously it was inspired by, making and preparing dishes at home. Now, when it came to the packaging, I had to make sure first that the client received a style guide. And this is a document which summarizes, what the brand is about and how to use the logos, fonts, and the colors. And of course, there's a section which is called the brand application section. And here you can see how the branding elements are implemented on Instagram posts, then a quick mock-up of how it looks like on a jar. And then I also gave these mock-ups on how it looks like on labels, and I created this very distinct look to it. And from the style guide, the client was able to build such a rich unboxing experience for its customers. So as you can see, every order comes in an insulated bag with the logo printed front and center. And inside, you get perfectly aligned bottles with a tag, a freshness card, slices of lime and fresh mint, and all packed neatly like a care package. And this is no longer feeling like just an ordinary tea brand. It feels like somebody invited you in. It feels like a gift. You can see that it's posted all over social media. And this is what I mean when I say design is about how you make people feel about the brand before they even interact with your product. The packaging isn't just functional, it is a way to build loyalty, and it makes you want to share it. And also unexpectedly, this packaging system, this unboxing experience has created an online community for Thé. Now you can see when you go on Thé's highlights and on their stories, everybody's sharing how the packaging looks like. And it's grown by not only word of mouth, but also because of these stories. There's no big marketing campaign that was done. It was just really strong, powerful packaging. And I think that's because everything, the photography, the identity, the slogan, the colors, the logos, it all tied together, and it made the audience feel like it's part of something. And the branding has quietly created a sense of belonging. It's just a reminder that, when you launch a brand, you don't necessarily need to hire some big fancy marketing person or PR company. Just by having a strong brand identity, a strong packaging system, really great design, something that feels intentional and really relates to the brand story, that can be enough. But it always has to start from strategy and understanding the foundation of the brand. So that is the breakdown of how we designed Thé. If you're building a brand and you actually wanted to reflect the quality intention behind it, I'd love to help. You can book a free call in the YouTube description below, and we can discuss how we could build that brand identity together. And as always, if you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.